Welcome to episode 19 of season 4 of the Gateway Geeks podcast. This time we choose our ideal cryptozoological paramours, watch The Shape of Water through the lens of monster lust, and talk about Wandavision with the whole crew this time. Let's pass it over to your hosts, Chris, Sarah, Tracy, Aaron, Wendy, and Joe.
Get started.
Okay, yes, I agreed to the thing.
Consent.
Yep.
Okay.
And
so
speaking of consent,
yeah. So we've thanks to Sarah and everyone who wrote their answers down. We actually have an intro game, so I'm going to just start the podcast and we'll try to be professional this time. Okay.
Oh shit, we're gonna do it. We're just gonna do it.
Wow.
It's going to happen. I feel it. Welcome everybody to episode 19 of season 4 of the Gateway Geeks podcast. We're tentatively calling Monsterfucker's Ball. I am Joe, and if I had to choose the most fuckable monster, I would probably say it's a chimera because there's something for everyone in there.
Now you have to clarify for that. You told us we couldn't pick like human shaped or it's got to be at least Frankenstein level monster different from the human norm.
Yes,
so,
because
I mean I couldn't say Captain Jack Harkness.
No, everyone. I feel like everyone would have said something like that, or like vampires. I mean, yes, there are already established sexy monsters. So Wendy, do you want to give us yours?
Well, if I had to, I figured I would pick out of Lord of the Rings the Uruk-hai, because I figured any creatures created against their will by magic would certainly understand the options of consent and safe words.
Mm-hmm. It's a good answer.
Yeah. Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah Jane Connor. I think the most fuckable monster is obviously an eldritch abomination. Like many things. Tentacles, great. You get fucked physically and psychically simultaneously. So like 2 for the price of 1, great deal. Love a bargain. You might be driven to madness by the end of it, which like element of danger, incredibly sexy. Always
it's like
great.
It's like a regular relationship in that way.
Magnified.
It's evil, so like I can change them. Like,
in and out Innsmouth.
Oh God, the Rule 34 is writing itself as we speak.
Oh, that already exists.
That's been around.
Sure it does.
Chris, do you have one?
Hi, I'm Chris, and mine would be the cat stripper from Star Trek V.
Just narrowly meeting the criteria, Chris.
Look, all I have to say is, look, she looked good, and Kirk did her dirty, drowning her in that fish tank. Yes, because most people on Earth are lucky enough to have never watched Star Trek V. Kirk drowns a cat stripper in a fish tank.
Just for the complete context.
For
Aaron.
reasons.
Some sort of unified hive mind, like Heinlein's The Puppet Masters or the Borg, because everybody's guaranteed to get the attention they need, and also, everyone knows, okay, oh, your arm is falling asleep, so I'm going to stop doing that. Everyone is guaranteed to have had their needs met.
Well done, Tracy.
Good answer.
Right on. I'm gonna go with Bigfoot, just for obvious reasons. Like number one, like
size queen.
Yeah. Well, there's that. But, like if you were able to like actually snag Bigfoot, like this would be like the story of all stories to be able to find this person, this creature to have sex with. Plus, I think hairy is beautiful, so I think that being a giant hairy monster just adds to the allure. So.
She just doesn't want me to feel intimidated. I appreciate that, Tracy.
For a minute, I thought you meant Harry from Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah. I do too.
I
thought.
No, he is lovely, but I meant just actually hairy. So
arguably the least fuckable Bigfoot in film history.
Yeah, I would have to go with that.
Yeah. I know. So we have a lot of things going on for this week's episode. So Wendy and Aaron recently did, which Capricorn was it? What number was it?
This was Capricorn 41.
41. So they're going to give us their like debriefing on that.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I Capricorn 41, we had to go virtual because Capricorn 40 missed COVID by 3 weeks. We missed our con crud being COVID-19 by 3 weeks. So we decided last July, this is not going to happen. Let's not try this halfway thing. We're going to go virtual. We're going to take advantage of the fact that it's going virtual, and we can steal ideas and personnel from all the other virtual cons because a lot of them will have happened by then.
Yeah.
I kind of joked, Aaron was talking about, he attended a couple of the events, and I said the big thing we did differently than a lot of cons is that we allowed the interactivity. We really pushed to have the social aspect. And Aaron, on the other hand, was online watching the Mars landing with Mary Robinette Kowal in a Zoom call. And the moment they told people they could chat, he's like, nope, because he'd actually have to talk to human beings.
Yeah.
He doesn't like that. So what we ended up doing, the big difference I think between what we did and a lot of the conventions are doing is a lot of them are doing pre-recorded, and we fought really hard for things to be in the meeting, in the moment. So the way we did it was we had simultaneous password protected website registrations. We did have a free registration tier if people really couldn't afford it, but we asked people, $10 is the standard. If you want to give us more, if you want to give us 50, you could have a t-shirt and an engraved badge, just like you were at a physical con, so we're trying to get people to cough up a little extra money to cover operating costs.
Mhm.
What we ended up doing was we fed to our website. The panelists were in a virtual Zoom room with a moderator, and that was being beamed to a window in the website window via out through Zoom via Twitch.
Okay.
Then next to it was a Discord window being fed in through a Titan bot of a chat where all of the attendees were. And so there was one person whose job it was to basically hang out in the Discord chat, copy questions over into the Zoom chat for the live moderator. So you could actually interact with the panelists in the room. So I think that worked really well. The other thing that we did that a lot of cons don't is, how when you finish a panel, you all got in the hallway and talk about it?
Yeah.
Every single room, we had Birch live, Birch hallway. So everybody could go out to the other virtual room and keep talking about it.
That's smart. I like that.
And that I think was a huge deal. When we had the parties in the evening, every party did their own thing, but we had a parties hallway, which is where you went for, hey, what parties are going on? So we literally set up the virtual spaces as much like actual con spaces as possible.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so that I think really made the big difference. We also did a lot of interesting programming. We took advantage of our virtual status. We had our guests of honor were attending from California, Illinois, Trinidad and Tobago, and Paris.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I drank whiskey late in the evening when I'm having a lovely discussion with a woman in Germany. I learned about libraries from a lady in the Philippines who was one of the panelists. And we co-programmed with a UK PhilcCon, so they took over in the overnight shifts. So we had stuff going 24/7. We had
very cool.
text chats, we had voice chats. We have a cafe that we usually have. So we had 3 voice chats where you could go sit at a table and talk to people.
Mhm.
And do a puzzle where they found a virtual puzzle program because we always have a table that has a puzzle. And we got John Scalzi to DJ us a virtual 80s dance on Zoom with like everybody. He had like this disco background and people were dancing in their living rooms on and off camera. It was actually really, people were like, why not?
Yeah.
We did a virtual escape room with people. That was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, that was extremely successfully done. Although I still maintain our teammates had to have cheated and read the clue, had to read the clues before we started.
They gave us links to print them, and they definitely had read them. We had not. I printed them out and locked them in a folder. They got things too quickly. They had to have been thinking about it already.
As opposed to Aaron, were you with us the one time when a bunch of us went in St. Louis and Stacy? Yeah. Talk about cheating. Yes. We actually had one where maybe you can remember Aaron and Tracy, but it was basically like they had a fake
room behind the main room, and it was like a Soviet era James Bond entrapment kind of thing. Right.
The first room was set up to look like a bar, and then we got the keys, opened it up into like a secret decoding room, and everything was going fine until once we figured out how to open the door that was labeled "Warning: alarm will sound. You will be shot and die" was on the door. Somebody opened the door, and we're like, well, yes, we technically won in that we solved all the puzzles, but we were also all dead, and the alarm is.
Well, that was my favorite part. Our friend Anastasia was there, and she was and had like smoke and laser beams, and she's like, "These aren't real lasers," and she just stuck her hand through it and grabbed the prize, and she's like, "We're done, we won." Yeah. It's like, yes, they're not. Yes, Stacy, they're probably not really real lasers. They're going to cut your arm off. That's not really the point.
But
this was a Lovecraft theme one based on Lovecraft Country. It used a lot of puzzles from creators of color. It was put together by the folks that run PocketCon, which is a one-day Comic Con in Chicago that I usually volunteer with. So that was kind of fun.
Very nice.
So yeah, that's I think the things that we did was we really leaned on, it doesn't matter if it looks okay, as long as it's not embarrassing. But the point is the interaction. Erin and I are now hooked on another tokusatsu show because
Kamen Rider.
Because one of our guests of honor, his entire speech was like, I want to talk about being a geek. And the way I want to talk about being a geek is I want to tell you why Kamen Rider is awesome. And that was his entire speech, was talking about Kamen Rider.
Yep.
We had an interactive room where everything was, you got a Zoom link for the coffee clatches. Aliette de Bodard did a cooking seminar from Paris of Vietnamese cooking.
Wow.
There was an online cocktail class where you could download recipes beforehand. Some of the parties had games. The parties had games, and you could download drink recipes from some of them too.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you exceeded your membership goals.
Yes, we our chair is a data geek, so this is kind of fun. I actually put this down. We had 718 registered members. In an in-person year, we go about 1,100. So that was pretty close. 489 of those people actually paid us at least $10. Now we're assuming that some people shared screens. I mean, we did.
Yeah.
But we had people from 16 countries and 37 states. We have 4 days long, 216 unique programming items, 38 staff and technical volunteers, and 3.04 terabytes of data. We ended up sending it over the weekend. We had the dealer's room and art show were more like, here, go to their websites and buy stuff. But we had a film room running public domain stuff. We had, like I said, all the social stuff. We had 3 rooms of panels plus the coffee clatches and the interactive stuff. And there was one poor room where I forget who was supposed to be in there, but she went to her coffee clatch and there was nobody there but one very confused old woman who's like, is this the room where you do stuff? And she wanted the lady to help her write a sea shanty. So this poor author, it's like 2:00 on Sunday afternoon, and we're like messaging her going, we can arrange a rescue. You don't have to do this. And actually she was like, no, it was really fun. She was a little confused, but it was sweet. And so it was that kind of stuff. So comparing something like that to something like I said, Erin had attended DC Fandom. I really think there are better the tools that people are using. There's GatherTown, there's Evently, there's some other things that people are using for the virtual spaces. But yes, this did have a certain threshold. You had to be a certain amount of tech savvy. You had to be able to at least text chat and be able to figure that out. But we had a virtual scavenger hunt that went on. We had emojis so that you could, when you came in, like, click your preferred pronouns, click where you're from if you want, click your interests. And that way, if you were talking with someone in a room, their profile would come up with, I like tabletop games and comics and horror and this. So, you could actually sit and meet people, which was kind of nice. And we even did a charity auction, which raised, if everybody actually pays up, $999 for the Greater Chicagoland Food Depository.
Very cool.
That's great.
It's nice. It's nice to hear stuff like that actually working now. Because God, I don't know about you all, but I really need like like those interactions such as.
And I think a lot of that we went really well. I think, like I said, I think we started out with really good people and really good idea of what we want to do with our tech.
Yeah.
We leaned on the social aspects from the get-go, but also at this point, there is so much pent-up demand. There was one room that I was the messenger. I was feeding stuff from the chat into the panel. And the poor guy who was holding the Zoom room open, there was a Comcast outage in his area, and we dropped the signal.
Oh no.
So I could see the Zoom people and I could see the Discord people, but they couldn't see each other.
Oh no.
So I was feeding stuff back and forth, and the panelists just eventually came into the Discord, and all the people in the audience, it was the panel on fantasy libraries and libraries in history. And people were like posting links to their favorite libraries and pictures and all of this. And every time
it was a lot of library porn. It was awesome.
It was a beautiful library. But it was great because there was this one person who, every time somebody mentioned something, they're like, oh yeah, that's this. And they'd post the link in the Discord.
Mhm.
I'm like, can we hire you for next year? Why aren't you on this panel?
Yeah.
So
that person sounds like a librarian, actually.
Yes. But so we're taking this, and we're hoping to be in person next year because our con is scheduled to be early February. And we think by then there will be enough people to warrant having an in-person gathering. Of what size, we don't know yet.
Right.
But we would like to continue to incorporate some virtual aspects, but then we run into bandwidth issues and all kinds of things. So we really want to keep some aspect of this, but it's hard to figure out how and what.
Yeah.
One of the ideas I came up with was based on that one lady who was just posting links like crazy. I'm like, all we need to do is maintain a static website of lists of the panels. And at the end of the panel, somebody collect all the links that people mention or stuff like that, post the links and update the website. It could be a static page. It would take like no bandwidth. And that way, nobody has to go home and try and read the notes they scribbled on their program, or what was that thing that guy was talking about on Thursday.
Yeah.
That would be something that you could do that also people who couldn't attend could also access. That's a fairly low bandwidth, still incorporating virtual aspect that may prove to be useful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It would give us. So what aspects we're keeping and what we're not, we're still trying to figure out, because since we are moving to a downtown hotel, we do have things like union costs to deal with. So we may not be able to do as much as we would want.
Mhm.
But I think given that we just decided, let's not try and make a perfect con. What are the things we want to keep? Okay, let's just lean on those.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I feel kind of bad because the one thing that is just not translating in any of these events is dealers and art show, is sales.
Yeah.
There's just,
Yeah.
without the immediacy of being able to talk to people, there's just, I felt terrible. I went and spent $40 on some person's jewelry that I kind of liked because I felt bad and I had the money.
Mhm.
But that's the one thing that nobody has figured out how to make work
Mm-hmm.
easily, because you can't do a centralized payment because it makes taxes a nightmare.
Yeah.
So there's really no way to do it other than links to people's Etsy pages or websites. And at that point, now you've left the site. Where's the interaction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big.
Nobody
that's
has
a
a
big,
good answer for that yet.
Well, that's a big thing that they're going through in just like fine art in general right now. There's a guy named formerly St. Louis artist named Basil Kincaid, and he actually set up recently. I'll send you guys the link later. But he set up like someone had actually built a program that's like a very rudimentary virtual gallery, and then they've scaled the size of his mostly two-dimensional work and put it in there. And he claims that's been helping. But I don't know if it has.
The WorldCon folks were looking at something like that.
Yeah.
And again, the thing is, it depends on how digitally savvy the artists are as well. A lot of our dealers are old school fans who knit and crochet
Right.
amigurumi and sell them out of their kitchens. So they don't have a web presence and they don't have the ability to do a lot of online sales. So, at a certain point, our dealer's head was like, I've asked these people for photographs, better resolution photographs and good links, like 6 times. At what point do I just stop asking?
Right.
Because I can't help them.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that no one's been able to figure out how to do yet. And that's the one thing we wish we could do. I know there are Facebook groups for various genres. We have one for the Ren Fair community, which is called Fair Relief 2021, which is where I've been meaning to get a new mug, hat, whatever. And they've set how often you can post, and you can recommend vendors and things like that. And I know that there's a couple of steampunk ones as well. Those seem to be doing better for people than something in an individual space like the convention.
Yeah.
Because we want to support our artists, but we're still trying to figure out how.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so Chris, I'm gonna move your thing that I have no idea how to make a segue into that. That's gonna go after we talk about the Resident Evil stuff. How about that? Because I don't, unless you can think of a way, just at any point, feel free to jump in.
I don't ever remember why you added that. That was just like a random thing I threw out after we stopped recording last time.
I think I added it because you said, quote, I have to tell the story next time about pubic lice and orangutans.
No, my exact words were, I'm going to tell this story now that we stopped recording.
We'll just let everybody wonder what the hell that's about. Let's move on.
That's just a fun. That's a fun Easter egg.
It is a fun Easter egg.
Very fuzzy one.
So as I'm sure everyone saw, Gina Carano, who's oh my god, what was her character's name on The Mandalorian?
Cara Dune.
Cara Dune was basically dropped by Disney for being kind of
and her agent
for being like a bigot in various ways. And then
over a long period of time, and then she
after being told repeatedly to stop.
Yeah. Yes.
And then she immediately got some sort of Ben Shapiro shitty movie deal. So I'm sure she's going to be doing just fine. And it's like I said, we were talking about this online. It's like I said, if I had a job where it was like, here's money and now you get punched in the head, I would check with people before I posted my hot takes when I was on a Disney show. It seems pretty.
The comment that I saw was somebody's like, racism must feel hella good to give up Disney money for it.
Yeah, right.
It's a hell of a drug.
You cannot convince me that the project that she's working on now is not Ben Shapiro's ultimate dream. Okay, fun fact, Ben Shapiro wrote an action novel.
I thought you were going to say it was like Gina Carano stepping on him, because that sounds
well,
I would believe it too.
Okay, wait. We'll get there in a second. He wrote a book called True Allegiance. In this book, every character, as they're introduced, their height is listed. Exactly. Everyone in this book is enormous because Ben Shapiro hates himself. He hates being short. He hates being a dweeb. So the main character is named Brett Hawthorne. He's a former football player turned Navy SEAL turned general. Yeah, he went from the Navy to the Army at some point. I don't know. It's not clear. And his wife is 6 feet tall, and everyone is huge. And it's all about how black people are working together with, I don't know, like Arabs, and it's really complicated. And like the governor of Texas invades Mexico, and it's supposed to be a good thing. And you cannot convince me that she is not, like, she's like, yeah, I'm an action star, and she's going to end up playing Brett Hawthorne's wife.
Totally.
Whose main job it is to like get on the phone with her husband and be like, I miss you, Brett. I miss you. When are you coming home? We invaded Mexico while you were gone.
Well, I mean, now we'll discover if she has chemistry with, I guess, Dean Cain.
Kevin Sorbo.
It will be Kevin Sorbo.
Yes.
Yeah,
it will be Kevin Sorbo. God.
Oh, Lord, help me. I will watch that movie, but I will watch it on YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah. That's find me a pirate source, because nobody's getting money for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to move on to our monster fucker theme, did everyone see the Resident Evil Village? What is it, Lady
Yes.
Dimitrescu?
Yes,
Okay.
of course I have.
We talk. Well, of course you have, Sarah. We've discussed your predilections already.
I looked at it the first time the image was shown to me. It was shown in a costuming forum, and everybody was like, "Fabric doesn't do that. That's a bias cut gown with pin tucks on the front, and you can't make that."
That was not my reaction.
I kind of yeah. You cannot make vertical pin tucks in a bias seamed gown. On the other hand, my favorite image of it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought the second.
My favorite image of it, though, is somebody who's obviously cosplaying the character, and they look like 8 feet tall, and then they pull up the gown, and this woman is sitting on some dude's shoulders under the dress. It's just the only way this works.
I think she's canonically like 9 feet tall.
Yeah, totally. I think we have to do the canary in the pop culture coal mine and ask Tracy if she has any idea what the hell we're talking about.
Not a damn clue.
It's okay, Tracy. It's not really that important. Go ahead,
There's
Eric.
a very tall vampire lady in the new Resident Evil video game.
Yeah.
We don't really know anything else about her. She's just very tall and has like MILF energy.
Definitely.
Like that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Good to know. Thanks for sharing. Because
that's what you always wanted to know.
Yeah.
Here, Tracy, I'm going to share this in chat for you, so you can be justified later.
Thank
you.
Instantaneously simped the entire internet. It was a pretty interesting drop.
I'm still not yet convinced that there isn't memes of that character and Bernie sitting. I mean, I don't know if
they hit the same week.
Yeah, because I don't know if we want to cross the streams like that or not, but
yeah, those were both the meme fodder for that week. They dropped the same exact week.
Yeah. All right, Chris.
I'm just like watching Tracy's face to see
what's going on. Yes. Yeah. All right, Chris. This is your last chance for the pubic lice thing before we go on to Shape of Water. No.
Oh, I mean, if you really want to hear the story, it's about.
No.
It's not about his pubic lice, you guys. Come on.
No.
I don't really want to hear about anybody's pubic lice. That's okay.
I don't think that was the objection.
That's a DVD extra. That's a DVD.
It's just a fun little story about why human beings are the only mammals that have 2 different lice species.
That's good. Let's just leave it there. That's
moving on. Please, please tell me you are editing this show.
Yes. Yeah.
Joe, again, I told that story when we stopped recording.
If we ever set up like a Patreon, like one of the special things should just be like me and Chris telling gross stories.
Oh my God.
Can pay extra.
It's an OnlyFans. They do it topless.
Well, I did listen to a podcast, a true crime podcast this week twice through about the Hinterkaifeck axe murders. So I could go gross.
And I'm in the midst of reading this little gem, Dark Archives, a librarian's investigation into the science and history of books bound in human skin.
Ooh, very nice.
I'm leaving aside the fact that I'm the one who checked it out.
Yes.
Because Jenny Lawson, the bloggess, has a book club. And while I've not joined her book club, whenever she posts, here's next month's pick, I'm like, ooh, that looks interesting. And I usually, possibly, if it looks interesting, I try and reserve it from the library. So it showed up this week and I read it and had handed it over because I think he would enjoy it. It deals with a lot of the issues of where do you have to be how do you get to a space where that kind of thing happens? Mm-hmm. What is a librarian's purpose? How do you treat those sorts of materials versus human remains? It's actually, the librarians among you will actually probably find it quite interesting.
Yeah.
It addresses a lot of issues. No, it is not a how-to, although they do go to a traditional vegetable tannery and do talk about floating goat testicles. So we can draw back to the previous episodes here.
This is now the second time that ghost testicles have appeared.
Exactly.
We love a running theme.
Apparently they don't bother to, when they skin the goats, they don't bother to cut them off. And so when they're being processed, apparently they float.
This whole podcast is broke bad.
Oh.
Ew.
Oh.
Oh my God. Okay, let's move on to The Shape of Water.
Shape of Water.
Which as we've
Yeah,
noted,
get your minds out of the gutter, under the fish fucker.
under the fish fucking. It's a gentle fish romance, Chris. We've seen this movie. Aaron and I talked about this in like 2017, but I don't feel like we really gave it its true. We didn't focus on the important part of it, which was the fish fucking. So that's what we're gonna do.
Okay, I know I'm like the resident like makes the gross joke guy. So let me just get this part out of the way right up front, where I love this movie on a deep and unironic level. It's my favorite Del Toro movie. It's one of my favorite romances.
Yeah.
Honest to God, this is his most. It's his most adult movie, and I don't mean because there's actual fucking going on.
And masturbation.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do the
Like,
visual
what?
cue that
Yeah.
she does in the movie.
Yeah.
While you guys. Okay, go ahead.
Honestly, Octavia Spencer deserves an Oscar just for the face journey that she went on during that scene. God bless her.
Absolutely.
She deserves an Oscar for literally every supporting role she has ever had, ever.
Yeah.
And like, I don't even like horror, and like Ma is such. Okay, that's a whole other thing altogether. But this movie, like.
I did not go back. We did not go back and watch it. I was relying on what struck with me after the number of years. And the thing that struck with me, again, I've seen a lot of Del Toro movies, but I'm not like, that plugged into that, was the visual palette, the color palette. The entire movie is blue-green, except when it isn't. And when it isn't, it's startling. I just remember every time there was something that was red, a pair of shoes, a hat, there was something, and it was just enormously shocking because the entire movie was graded to a much cooler color pitch.
Del Toro is not a subtle man at all in personality or in filmmaking. Everything he makes is a fairy tale, and I dearly love that about him. And it's not subtle at all. Anything red is passion or desire.
Yeah, I read that.
That is always the.
But it was just even not even analyzing it on that level. It was just, here is the world of the movie. Blah blah blah. Whoa. Yeah. It was that startling because and you can go into the symbolism of where green, the poor guy with the picture making the picture of the Jello, and green is the future and red is the past and all of that. But fundamentally, I noticed it was like the movie was shot like a painting in a very specific set of color grading that led to the whole clammy, watery atmosphere, so that when something was outside of that, it was incredibly obvious, which made the brush strokes more obvious.
Yeah, Del Toro really wanted to make this movie black and white, which would have been tragic because the color use is so good.
Yeah.
And who made this? Was it Sony, Paramount? I can't remember.
I think it was Sony.
Yeah.
I think this was a Sony Classics.
Yeah, I think so. It's someone who Disney owns now. Yeah, this is a Disney movie. She's a Disney princess. Basically the only reason he made it in color is because they told him they were going to cut his budget by $3 million if he made it in black and white. And he's a smart. He made this movie for $20 million.
That's
20.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then it made like $200 million. Oh, I love this.
Because everyone was like, "Yeah, I want to see that lady fuck a fish."
I will watch anything with Doug Jones. He is magnificent. Because he has a unique gift of finding the humanity in the inhuman, and his physicality. Like Chris, what's Captain's
Saru.
Saru in Star Trek Discovery. His physicality is so unique, and it's something that you rarely see in sci-fi and fantasy. Of this person's physicality is indeed alien, and it's not just a facial prosthetic.
I've been rewatching the remastered Babylon 5, and it's like, oh man, so like the costuming in Babylon 5 was like light years ahead of everything else in its day.
Yeah,
and
they had pockets, didn't they?
Well, I mean, it's just like, at a time when Star Trek was literally like every week you would meet a new species. It's like, oh, we stuck an extra nose on this one, or like,
and everybody wore the same pajamas.
Yeah, Babylon 5 looked like a light years ahead, and you look at it now, and it's like, oof, oof. Oh man, maybe up-resing this to HD was a bad idea, because I can really, I can see.
I'm still a fan. I am still a fan. You can't break me.
I still like it, but like I'm telling you, it is not. Especially the effects have aged so bad. Here's the problem. I caught up to the angel moment. When Sheridan is jumping out of the tram and he gets saved by an angel.
Yeah.
And it looks so bad. Oh my God!
Did I mention that I am now a Kamen Rider fan? Which
hey, Kamen motherfucker! I love Kamen. He's just a dude on a dirt bike. That's his whole thing. Is like, no, aliens are coming. Here's my dirt bike. It's the same dirt bike as Delta Force, the Chuck Norris movie, where he has like the rocket launcher in the tailpipe. Yeah. But an anime, and they made like 1,000 episodes out of it. But
there's like 12 different ones too, which is we watched a bunch of the 70s one, and then we're like, okay, the turning the camera upside down stylized fighting is starting to give me a headache. Can we watch some of the more recent iterations, please?
But I didn't mean to get us off on a tangent of other sci-fi shows as we're trying to focus on attractive monsters.
We were also talking about set design. Chris had been talking earlier before we came on about about the set that is behind Chris and why he likes that set.
Because this is an audio medium, I should explain it. It is the main tank that they keep him in the lab, and it's one of my favorite sets ever. Like it's big. Like the physical space is big. It's got volume to it. It's got that 50s industrial aesthetic of like this used to be a missile bunker or something. And at the same time, it's got that like parochial grade school bathroom tile thing going on.
I was going to say it looks like a YMCA from the 90s.
Yeah, I said it looks like one of the less expensive indoor swimming options, I believe was the place to put. Because it's all that white subway tile and everything rusting.
Del Toro, more than any filmmaker on earth, you can smell his movies, right? Anytime you look at one of his sets, you know what it's supposed to smell like, and it's usually not great. And I love that about it.
Right. Mm-hmm. The eggs and the boiled eggs and the fish. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's a room where a woman feeds boiled eggs to a fish man. You know what that room smells like.
I think this whole movie smells like mop water.
Yeah. For sure.
That's like and vaguely of inexpensive aquarium, like an aquarium that leaks, because it's got that sort of saltwater seaweed, slightly mildewed kind of thing going on.
A gradually increasing aroma of Michael Shannon's rotting fingers.
Oh God.
Yes.
And pine salt, lots of pine salt.
Yeah.
That's what we have to imagine for the rest of this podcast. We have to imagine the Richard Strickland character is chasing us with a cattle prod, and every time we get off topic, he just gets us. Yeah. So Tracy, finish your thought. What was it you were saying about Svengoolie?
Oh, I just think that after we watched Svengoolie, when we watched The Creature from the Black Lagoon, there's like so many parallels with this movie for sure. Like after rewatching that and then rewatching this, I see them. And I think that it's really cool because this really is like a nice riff on that, on the whole idea of like there's someone who's trying to save the beast, right? And then there's someone else who's trying to exploit the beast for whatever they possibly can. And then of course there's just the whole sexual aspect of it's a sexual competitor in this way, and there's like a woman in the midst of all of it that I think is really interesting. That's a compare the two.
Have you any of you read Lady from the Black Lagoon? The primary
No.
prosthetic for Creature from the Black Lagoon was designed by a woman, Millicent. I have forgotten her last name, but I'm told the book was nominated for a Best Related Work Hugo. But basically, a female makeup artist and sculptor did the primary design for the face and head of the Creature from the Black Lagoon. I'm told it's quite a good book. I have, just passing that along.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
because this was back in like the 30s where, there weren't a lot of women in the field. So I'm sure it's quite interesting.
right.
It's a beautiful story. They go off together. She teaches him how to speak and read, and eventually he teams up with Hellboy and saves the world. No, it's great.
It is pretty much the same character. I mean, Del Toro does like to have those similar characters throughout his movies.
I mean, it's not like he was so insistent that like it's not Abe Sapien.
It's not
Abe Sapien. And I mean, like,
it is, but it's fine.
Yeah,
well,
it's fine.
Well, also, I mean,
maybe it's a cousin.
Well,
right.
Directors also often find actors that they're like, okay, yeah, I can work with this guy, and I want to work with this guy like in all my movies. And Del Toro and Doug Jones are an example of that sort of pairing.
Well, we talked about Hocus Pocus a couple months back, and Doug Jones was Billy the Zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and how many people are there really? I mean, there's like Doug Jones and Andy Serkis.
Exactly. They're like the two physicality guys.
Yeah, but Andy Serkis is like 5'6".
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need at least 3 Andy Serkises on each other's shoulders.
Chris, Ben Shapiro is going to be very offended by this podcast.
Yeah.
Good.
So has Doug Jones done any mocap work? He primarily does live stuff, because I know Serkis is almost entirely a mocap guy, except
Using
for
Doug
recently.
Jones for mocap would be such a waste, I feel.
Yeah,
I actually he has done a little bit of mocap stuff because he was the Silver Surfer in the
That's
second
right.
and there was some physicality too, but
I have blocked that movie out of my memory so hard. Oh my god, that was bad. That was even worse than the first Fantastic Four movie somehow.
Yeah.
Oh my god. The first Fantastic Four movie, like somehow the highlight of that movie is the flirty snowboarding scene that ends with an explosion in a hot tub.
Yeah.
And then the Silver Surfer one was worse somehow.
I just want to see a scene in future Marvel Cinematic Universe movies where they're like, once they've fully embraced the whole multiverse thing of Chris Evans encountering the Avengers and like, oh, Steve, thank God you're here. It's like, who's Steve?
Right.
Yeah, and how many characters can Ryan Reynolds play at the same time?
Anyone and speaking of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the multiverse.
Wait, Aaron, I don't know if we're done. So does anybody have anything else? We'll use that. We'll cut that in at an appropriate time. Does anybody have? Sarah, did you have anything you wanted to say about The Shape of Water?
I mean, listen, I don't want to yuck anybody's yums. I just gotta put out there that I hate allegory as a genre. I don't think it's effective. Like, listen, this is the best that you can do with that. Like, it did not fall into all of the common pitfalls that allegory normally falls into, where it's like a metaphor for oppressed people, and but everyone's like white and straight and able-bodied. So like, that's good. But like, I don't think that allegory is effective. I don't think that that's how people's brains work. I think that the movie about Sally Hawkins fucking a fish man made people okay with the idea of Sally Hawkins fucking this particular fish man. I don't think that's gonna extrapolate to other relationships. You know what I'm saying?
I just remember, like I said, the design is what struck me. The color palette and the design, the source,
listen,
the vintage.
It's a good movie.
Yeah,
I
the
liked
vintage
it.
set design. I love the putting her room above the theater with the
Yes,
flickering
that is
lights.
very good. Like,
Yeah,
no, I think
I
this
love the.
is a good movie. I like it. It's not a particularly like radical or progressive movie.
Yeah, no, I
No.
I did not enjoy the
No.
movie on that level. I enjoyed it as a sort of a tone painting more than anything.
Yeah,
else,
and,
really.
and,
It's
and
Del
Sarah,
Toro. The guy makes movies about fairy tales. He's like, what if a robot punched a dinosaur? Let's make that movie. Or
Yeah.
what if the tooth fairy ate your face? Huh? Yeah, we're gonna make that fucking movie. Like, yeah, no,
What country do you think that Benicio del Toro is from?
his own. He is from his own. Look,
it's and
technically,
just for the record, you guys, it's Guillermo del Toro. Benicio del Toro is the more attractive actor.
Apologies, Guillermo del Toro.
Look,
Oh my God.
I've seen the guy live like 2 or 3 times, and it is always the greatest thing on earth because he is exactly who you want him to be. First time I saw him at Comic-Con in San Diego, he comes out, it's Hall H, and he's on stage by himself because he doesn't need anybody, right?
Yeah.
It's him and the presenter.
Oh no, that's a man whose voice can fill a room.
Yeah. He sits down and he looks at the name like, oh, here we go. The maybe children in the audience. Fuck that shit. All right, let's go. Ask me some questions. Let's go, motherfuckers. I love him.
Yeah, no, I do too. And you know, Sarah, I understand where you're coming from. I think I actually do like allegory, but I can't always say that it's like effective as a device in film. I just like looking for it. But you're right. I mean, I think the reason that it works on some level in this film is Del Toro is not subtle. Like anytime there's an allegory, he literally has a character say, "Hey, this is the allegory." Like with like with Wendy's the green is future thing. There's a part in the movie where it's the one Sally Hawkins' roommate, the guy who's like the designer or who's
he
the
goes in
illustrator.
with his Jello painting.
Yeah,
and it's got red Jello on it, and they reject it, and they're like, it's got to be green. Green is the future.
Yes,
You hadn't figured that out yet. They told you.
And then later he has the G-Man's wife bring out a thing of green Jello, like just to bring it home. Just
In case you hadn't noticed, I'm doing a thing.
Right. The takeaway of this movie is that 1960s racism was bad.
Yeah.
That's that's as far as it goes.
Yeah.
No, the what is the guy's name? The artist, the neighbor guy does get the best line of the movie when he's like, the family needs to be happier. It's like, happier? Look at the dad. He looks like he just discovered the missionary position.
Yeah.
Man, I will tell you though, I don't know I don't know how you all feel about this, but God, what was the character's name? We should just look at the character's name. The artist roommate, where he goes to that pie place lusting after the pie bartender, whatever the hell.
His name is Giles. His name is Giles.
Giles. And then he gets sort of shit on, and then he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna help Sally bust out her fish boyfriend.
Yeah.
That pie restaurant scene, that was pretty sad. Like that actually got me, I'm not gonna lie, like especially in theaters, even though it was kind of on the nose.
Well, again, it's Del Toro. It's like it's just gonna hit you. This is not a man who does subtlety. Like the whole movie itself. So like the actual plot and structure of the movie is like more complicated than it seems for a movie. It kind of really
That's true.
Like this movie fucking moves. It's that moment I'm kind of paying attention to the time codes as I'm watching it this time. And like what I think of as the first half of the movie is 10 minutes. So like in 10 minutes, he establishes this is her life, this is a routine, this is everyone in her life. Oh, and she works in this weird underground lab by the sea, and it just chugs. And the pacing of it is great. It's never boring. It's longer than I remembered. I remembered it being a little shorter. It's a good 2 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't feel like it in the least bit, unless you're trying to squeeze it in before recording, in which case you keep looking at the clock. Fuck, really? Damn it.
Same. We did the same.
But
yeah,
this is probably It's probably my second favorite Del Toro movie. I mean, I'll still always love Pacific Rim the most, just because it's giant robots punching dinosaurs.
Yeah. Like, listen, you go to Del Toro for like spectacle, and what is more spectacular than a bunch of people in fighting monsters through the power of friendship in giant robots.
Yeah.
And then, but to watch the guy who would make something this small and this intimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
like-
small is not a word that I would use because the themes are huge, but intimate is a very good, very good term.
It's very small for him. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing over 7 feet tall in it. That's automatically small scale for Del Toro. It's probably it's probably the shortest Jones character he ever came up with.
Probably.
Well, and much like Hellboy and some of the other Del Toro, I mean, it's a collection of weirdos, and the weirdos are the good guys for the most part. I always appreciate.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, it's a story about a disabled woman, a gay guy, a communist, and a black woman in the 50s fucking over a G-man to save a fish.
Yeah.
That's a good story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so our next task, and perhaps the last task any of us will complete in our lifetimes, is figuring out what the fuck happened in Wandavision this week, you guys.
What are you talking about? It literally explained everything you've seen so far. Why does everyone keep reacting like, what the fuck? What's going on? I'm like, what are you talking about? It exposed everything.
Yeah, the only big mystery we have left is what is Agatha's end game? What is it? Why is she so obsessed with the kids?
What does she want?
Yeah,
she likes to raise kids. We already know that. It's Agatha Harkness.
Right, but I mean, is she fattening them up to be sacrificed to something else to power a magic battery, or
the commercial?
Yeah,
the commercials are the last commercial where it's, I was always hungry until I snacked on Yo Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So at that point, are we going to just harvest the kids, which probably is unlikely because this is Disney.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to let you do that.
But
she did kill their fucking dog.
She killed the
So
dog.
that's
She also provided the dog, so that's okay. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
True.
We went back.
Catherine Hahn would never hurt my good son Wiccan. Okay, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
We went back and we watched, like I said, the whole thing from the beginning with this in mind, looking for breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
First episode, not so many, but some things to point out that we did remember. The reason that we're showing up here is because there's a missing person.
Yeah.
The missing person is described as someone who is in the witness protection program, and Jimmy Woo uses male pronouns to describe this person. Right. So we don't know who that is because it can't be Agatha.
Mm-hmm.
All the other Agatha, to the best of my knowledge, when they've identified most of the townspeople because they've got driver's licenses, they haven't identified her. So we know she's an outsider, but what or who was the missing person that started this?
Mm-hmm.
Also, why Westfield?
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be something about the place because, I mean, other than New Jersey.
So,
but somebody obviously somebody, looking at the time frame, we're about 3 weeks after the end of Endgame. She was visibly okay at, or at least surfacely okay at Tony's funeral. Sometime in the next week, she learned about what was being done to Vision. So somebody told her and she went and stole the body. So I think that Agatha aimed and fired her, but is not necessarily controlling. I think she's manipulating. Wanda is still the primary instigator of all of this because they said, Monica said she's in my head. So Aaron was like, well, maybe it's Agatha that's doing that. And I'm like, there are a couple of times when Agatha is doing something else at the same time.
Yeah.
We went back and looked at the time frame. So while she's definitely steering Wanda in particular directions to do particular things, Wanda is still mostly in control of this.
Was it on camera the last time we talked? My whole theory that they're doing a reverse House of M.
Well,
That they're using her to introduce the mutants.
Well, I think
that
don't
might
know
have been
if
off
they're going
camera.
Well, I'm not sure they're going to directly use her to introduce the mutants, but I think what this whole series is leading to is cracking the egg into the multiverse, because every theatrical movie that they're putting out next year, Spider-Man has villains played by the same actors from the Tobey Maguire movies, from the Garfield movies. You've the subtitle of the next Doctor Strange movie is Multiverse of Madness. This and so on. I think the big climax of the movie is going to be, Agatha maybe possibly getting Disney villain ending of being sucked into the nexus of realities.
Yeah, like I said, I keep coming back to why there. Like clearly there's something about that place.
Right. This goes back to my theory that I think this is their version of the Terrigen bomb. Because we've already established that being in there. Yes! Sarah knows where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Who lives in New Jersey, baby?
Fuck yeah!
Who lives in New Jersey? Kamala Khan, baby.
Yeah. So
I don't think they're going to go necessarily that direction. I'm thinking more that the we've obviously there's something going on in Agatha's basement. We've seen that. We've also seen that every time we went back and we specifically watched whenever Agatha was on screen. During the magic show, when things are going weird, everybody else is applauding and she's making some kind of gesture. We do see that.
Agatha's Basement is my favorite 2000s folk band, by the way.
Yeah. All right. So,
but all of the times that she is taking direct action, it's about the kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
She's the one. The kids are crying. She sprays lavender over them, and then you turn around and they're 5 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wanda wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
So yes, they probably to an extent did it to themselves, but she was the only one. Wanda and Vision were off having a conversation while that happened.
Yeah.
And the same thing with, most of the time that she's interacting with them, it's all about the kids. She brings Pietro in from wherever, and we can talk until we're blue about whether he's really Pietro, whether he's. I maintain that he's got to be an alternative Pietro because he wouldn't have superpowers. Just her witching somebody to look like her brother, and Marvel using the casting of that actor as a red herring. That seems to me an awfully expensive red herring.
Yeah.
So if you're going to go hire the guy, and plus in the credits to this last episode, they showed the other Pietro die.
Yeah.
So they put in our faces, this is not that guy.
Yeah.
In the credits to this episode, they showed Pietro at the end of the most recent one.
But it's still, again, he looks different. They haven't played up his appearance. He's a brunette in this one, and his hair is longer. Aaron noticed that.
And also in all episodes that he's been in, he doesn't have the same personality as either of the Pietros. He in WandaVision, Pietro is a colossal asshole.
Yeah.
Well, he flat out said in the show that he's like, his role in this sitcom is to be the loser brother who shows up and stirs things up. Like he flat out says like, oh no, that's my role in your sitcom. That's what you wanted me to do, right? That's why you brought me here.
But the thing is based on the thing is that we went back and we watched the scene. Wanda and Vision are talking about the kids and about the dog and about how Vision is starting to realize that this something is not right here and that she's controlling things, and someone knocks on the door.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not doing that. And we later see, if we can believe what we're seeing during the cool, catchy Agatha song is that she's brought him there.
Agatha, all
along. It's the Monsters theme with lyrics.
Yeah.
Best one yet.
Yeah. But so she brought him. The question is he? I mean, based on some of the things we saw him do, I think he's definitely willingly working for her.
Yeah.
Because when she is off, and again, I thought when that scene at the crossroads, I thought that put paid to that can't be Agatha because he snapped her out of it. And then we realized that every other person Vision talked to did not respond.
Yeah.
She's in the car.
Yeah.
He went and talked to her. She responded. She responded like she was acting weird, but she's the only one who responded. So I'm like, you're right. I'm wrong. She was faking it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And since we've go ahead, Aaron.
Go ahead. Oh no, I was gonna say, well, and just a couple more things about new Pietro is I agree that there is a strong possibility that he is a Pietro, whether it's the X-Men Pietro or not. But the things that I keep coming back to when I'm thinking about it's clear that that he is completely on Team Agatha, or at least cast in that role. But also, all of his memories are of have none of his memories that at least that he's shared with anyone indicate that he is Pietro, and also how to put it, he only appears to know what someone in timeline prime or whatever would know. It's like that. Wanda killed your husband. Wanda, you killed your husband.
Your husband can't die. What are you gonna kill him again?
Mm-hmm.
And then she blows him across the town square because he's a dick.
Yeah. And depending on the only way that X-Men Pietro would know that is if he got pulled into our reality prior to that.
Prior to the beginning of the hex.
Yeah.
The other thing is that, again, I still hope we end up with some kind of resolution of the real big bad was the trauma we endured along the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really want that to be. I want, as Monica puts it, if Wanda is our problem, Wanda needs to be our solution. So I really want to see her come to terms, because and the thing I really like about what they're doing in this is they are acknowledging the consequences, the real world consequences of living through the events of Endgame, or not living through and coming back. How do you deal with that kind of trauma? Well, if you're Wanda, you've just lost everyone you ever cared about. If someone says, here, why don't you just come over here and you can make everything okay? Wouldn't you want to hide under the bed for a couple of months and take the entire small New Jersey town with you? Or you could be like Hayward, who is like, horrible things happened. We had to do horrible things. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make sure this doesn't happen again. That's a very negative way of processing trauma, which is putting it out onto someone else. Or do you do what Monica does, which is to say, it's horrible. I've lost everything. You can't do anything else to me anymore, but it's my truth. It's made me who I am. And literally having absorbed and worked through her trauma on some level is what gave her the strength of will to effectively give herself a superhero origin story.
Right. So I don't know
her inner light.
Well, no, it's more like there were alternate versions of her sort of spinning off in different directions, and she basically gritted her teeth and said, no.
No, that was just a joke about her being named Photon. No.
Well, but they're not going to. I don't think they're going to use. They used Photon for her mother.
They'll go with Spectrum.
Probably. But that the idea of those are the three big those are those three characters represent ways
Mhm.
to deal with trauma. And like I said, I really hope that
Yeah.
Agatha clearly wants something.
Yeah.
And the no
Yeah.
magic joke makes me think that maybe, because Wanda has always been stupid powerful, but not this level. I've been trying to figure out where the battery is since episode 2.
Yeah.
Since we all went in color, I'm like, something is powering this. I don't think there's someone controlling her. I think someone set her off,
Yeah.
but there's a battery
Mhm.
somewhere, and that keeps bringing me back to why Westfield? Why are we here?
Yeah.
What's in the basement? And are we supposed to have forgotten about that? We're looking for a guy.
Yeah.
Well, this
Yeah.
is where they're finally gonna. So Agatha Harkness, her primary job in the Marvel universe is to teach people magic.
Yeah.
Like anyone who just randomly knows magic in the Marvel universe, Agatha taught them.
Yeah.
You know, she's just been hanging out in the United States since Salem, teaching people magic. Why not? That's what she does.
Right.
And, so they're finally gonna like actually acknowledge, like, oh wait, no, we're finally gonna teach Scarlet Witch how to use fucking magic.
Yeah.
We're gonna finally
Like,
acknowledge that magic exists in the Marvel
Yes.
universe.
But thank
Yeah.
God. So
Well, and
rather
she,
than her just be like, oh, she's telekinetic and like, okay,
Yeah.
you've never had a good job explaining what it is that her powers are supposed to be in the MCU. Besides,
Oh well, I mean, you could write several volumes of a book, trying to piece together all of the weird origins and retcons of Scarlet Witch, Spider Woman, hold on, Scarlet Witch, Spider Woman, and any number of other Marvel characters that they've had to change because, well, like the example that like, leaps immediately to mind was Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver used to be mutants in the Marvel universe. However, because Marvel wanted to give the middle finger sales wise to it wasn't Sony.
Sony.
To Sony saying, okay, one, they're not mutants anymore, and two,
they're the products of experimentation with the
They
Mind
spent
Stone.
10 years even in the comics, they spent a decade demutating characters for absolutely no reason. Oh, even Squirrel Girl's not a mutant anymore. We don't know what she is. She's just a girl with a tail. Why not?
She's a bunch of squirrels in a person suit.
Well, I
She
mean,
has the powers of both squirrel and girl. It's very straightforward.
well, I mean,
She's
but I mean,
Squirrel's girl.
but it was a very deliberate attempt to basically cut off revenue a revenue stream to Sony. It's the same mindset. It's the same corporate mindset of where they tried. I forget which toy company or what they tried to get legislation passed where they could officially tell a toy company that no, we are mutants are not humans, so that we can sell these X-Men toys overseas cheaper because there's some weird international trade law of if it's a human toy, you get charged more.
I think you're really overthinking this. I think the reason that
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch doesn't have magic in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is because some Disney executive at some point was like, no, there's no magic in the Marvel Cinematic Universe because that's silly. Now let's greenlight this talking raccoon movie.
Yeah.
Right. And now they're introducing that, well, okay, maybe it was here and maybe we do have it, which is where we're getting with this.
Yeah.
But finally, she says, glad to meet you at
They kept
last.
trying to be like, no, it's just really advanced technology. Anyway, here's my hammer that controls the weapon.
Here's my magic hammer. And Sarah, just to lay all my cards on the table, when I was watching this, I am like way behind probably everyone else with like where the comic connections come in, because I was honestly thinking that
I don't fucking know who Angela Harkness is still. I have no idea.
Oh, Sarah,
I thought she was Zatanna from DC because I got them mixed up.
No, she's so much cooler than
this
Zatanna.
whole conversation. I've been like, she's sure a person. I have no context for her outside of what I've seen in WandaVision. That's it.
Agatha Harkness is a thousands of years old witch who was literally one of the. There actually were a handful of witches at Salem. It's a whole thing. She's been around just ever.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
and it's one of those things where it's like anytime an all-powerful being will show up, it's like, it's either like, oh hey Agatha, what's up? Or like, you
Mhm.
witch, get back.
Yep.
And what the role that she plays is like a slightly more involved Ubuntu the Watcher sort of thing going on,
Mm.
where she's not usually the center of what's going on, but it's little things like she's like, oh, sure, Reed Richards, I'll watch your kid while you run off and do shit. And she's like, now I will secretly make him a wizard. And then she just sort of,
Well, and that's
she
what
kind of nudges things from the background. In the Fantastic Four, she was always sort of and Aaron knows Fantastic Four better than I do.
Yeah.
She was always sort of a like not quite malevolent, not quite helpful.
Well, I mean, well,
presence.
she had two frequent roles in 80s Marvel. One, Basil exposition of, here is why you guys need to go into Wanda's brain to help her deal with the fact that her sons are blah blah blah, or it was either exposition or it was the reason why I'm going to erase your memory is so that you're not going to end up going insane. I'm doing this for your benefit and for the universe.
We should also
Which is the
quickly
same thing
mention
that.
Well, we should also quickly mention that Agatha is the one who taught Wanda magic in the first place.
Yeah,
Right.
in the
comics.
Yeah, in the comics.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. So she's apparently her mentor, except obviously she's coming in at a different angle. Aaron told me that she's a very morally ambiguous character.
Yeah.
All the various things that I've read are, that she is like, her entire character is shades of gray.
Yeah.
Like she does seemingly bad things for good reasons. So that brings me back to, if she's the one that started this, what does she want?
Yeah.
And that we haven't determined. We know that she, like I said, I like the aimed and fired, but I still think that there's a battery, and there's definitely something she wants, and it involves the kids, but we don't know what.
Her oh god, not to get super geeky, like, do you guys know like the D&D that the Harpers, the idea of like agents of balance, that like they're not really good, they're not really evil, but like their whole thing is to maintain balance in the world.
They're like gray Jedi or something. Yeah,
sort of. Yeah, that's kind of what Agatha does. Is she sort of shows up and she's like, she tends to show up and it's like, things have become unbalanced. My finger must go on the scale again. And again, she's mostly known for like raising children and turning them into wizards and shit. So
So
which is better than eating them, which is the other option that
she did reference. She did reference. Okay, I do sometimes bite children. That was a direct.
I did bite a kid once.
My favorite outcome of that is somebody photoshopped her face on the spider that bit Peter Parker.
Okay,
really
so
quick, can we just say Catherine Hahn has now absolutely killed it as two different Marvel villains?
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. She was.
We definitely. So she's got the kids, but we know this is Disney, so she's not going to immediately kill them.
Yep.
Because that's and there's no way that they would
teach Wiccan how to be a wizard.
Yeah.
And the idea that everything she's done has to do with, them getting bigger, getting older. She has to have provided the dog, because then she shows up with the dog thing.
Yeah.
So she provided the dog and killed the dog, and the kids immediately try and age themselves up again, and Wanda stops them.
Yeah.
So she clearly, everything she's doing has to do with getting the kids, leveling up the kids.
What if she's the Nick Fury of the Young Avengers?
She makes she does make the.
I do love Young Avengers.
Well, it's pretty clear we're headed there. The kid boys are dressed in the right out colors this entire time, even before they got what they got powers. But when I get them all. I get the Wiccan one, which is he Billy or Tommy?
Billy.
Billy. Okay. When he says, "I like you, you're quiet inside," She was not at the Halloween scare the night before, so she doesn't know they've developed their superpowers yet until he says that.
Yeah.
And that's why
Yeah.
and that's why I think that Pietro is a willing participant, because he was with Wanda and the kids causing chaos while Agatha was off with Vision, attempting to get him to do whatever she wants him. So she would not necessarily been aware that the kids had developed powers until he said that.
Yeah.
And that shortly thereafter is where she's clearly made a move.
So we have a lot of things that could happen, but let's end on this, because I want it to be a nice, neat, like hour and 20 minutes for me to edit. So
Without all,
So there's we had the first couple of episodes, we had the 50s, 60s, 70s. This episode we had like the Office theme thing going for the beginning of it. What is
I
the
think
thing
they were
going
going
on
like-
this episode?
Modern Family.
Yeah, they were going slightly more Modern Family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but it's
will
the same-
say,
it's-
I was not expecting to receive a Malcolm in the Middle pastiche from the show.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
Oh,
very
that was
happy.
so good. Yes.
But I think at this point, breaking the fourth wall is not only a plot device. I think it is a signal of where we are going. The Hayward's assistant, they're no longer broadcasting.
Yeah.
Mhm,
It's dead air. There's no signal.
mhm.
So I think we've gotten up to present day in the sitcom world. We're now leaving the sitcom world
I think so.
because we've run out of that. Also, this is the first episode with a post-credit scene. We're back in the regular MCU again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we've worked through our little thing using these, but I think the next two episodes are, yes, it's still going to be influenced by this is my home and you can't take this away from me. It's the only thing I have left, but viewed less through the lens of sitcoms and more through the lens of you can't have this.
Mhm.
Oh no.
What about
More than
what
more
about
than anything, I just want to thank the makers of this show for giving me like Catherine Hahn and Kat Dennings in the same show.
Yes, I was
Yeah.
going to
A lot
ask,
of-
what about
Yeah.
Kat Dennings? What
Just
happened
a lot
to
of
Kat Dennings?
a lot of just very pretty people that I like to look at.
Yeah.
Being very funny, just doing what they
Yep.
do best. I love it.
Yeah.
Aaron made
Yes.
a ooh noise. Aaron,
Yeah,
what was that?
what's Aaron's
Ooh.
deal? Aaron, what's up?
Yeah. Dennings. Yeah, that was. I was a happy camper when Dennings arrived.
You made
on
an
the
ooh
show.
like you had just thought of a plot
Yeah.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Is that what you
Oh.
thought of, Aaron?
Oh, no.
That was not what that meant.
No. It just occurred to me. You know, since they're throwing since they're paying homages to hugely popular classic sitcoms. They've done Dick Van Dyke. They've done Modern Family. They've done this. They've done that. They've done Brady Bunch. Yeah, and it has occurred to me that there are 2 episodes left, and Disney owns what could be argued is the most popular situation comedy ever produced. It would not surprise me. I don't think they're going to do this, but it would not surprise me if they had a scene that was animated, because Disney also owns The Simpsons.
Oh, God.
Oh, if they were going to do the Simpsons,
No,
they
that
would
would
have done
have
it well
happened
before now.
That would have happened in
I
the
thought-
80s.
Yep.
I thought you were going to
Um,
say
they-
Two Broke Girls or something.
Nope.
I was like, I don't know how that would work.
No, if they were going to do that, it would have been in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were busy messing with the, I mean, if it was going to come up, it would have come up. They would have used that instead of Yo Gabba Gabba.
Yeah, that's true.
I also feel like somehow they would owe Matt Groening more money than they want to give him for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
But-
think that their agreement allows for adapted works. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, we've got 2
Oh, yeah.
episodes now. I've heard a rumor. We'd heard rumors that the last 3 episodes were going to be an hour long. This one clearly wasn't,
Mm-mm.
but clearly someone at some point said something about an episode being longer. So I don't know if it's the last 2, the last one, but there's
Mhm.
one of these episodes at least is going to be longer, at least
yeah,
based on working back from social media rumors.
Mhm.
So
Well, I mean, yeah, I
imagine it would be the
I'm
last
I'm
one.
sure. Yeah. Yep. So what are hmm.
What are
I-
our unanswered questions and what are our theories?
No, well, one. We've already talked about all kinds of theories, but the thought crossed my mind, and Joe, you can edit this out for the for the editing. My suggestion for the next podcast game is what is Aaron Vision? What is Wendy Vision? What is Chris Vision? What
is our sitcom where we're married to Vision?
What is your television genre, or what television show are you stuck in? And so as your comfort, as your trauma blanket.
Yeah.
God.
I have an answer.
All right, let's hold it for the next episode.
Yep.
What's
Yeah.
your
But yeah, so like I said, we have 2 more episodes. So we still have the mystery of how we got started. We have the power mystery. We have what's going to happen to the kids. What does Agatha want? And is Hayward going to be successful in penetrating the hex and trying to get to Wanda?
Yeah.
Because we know what he wants. He wants Vision's corpse back. That's the only thing he's focused on. Also, little thing I noticed, somebody pointed it out to me in an article. In the comics, Sword is sentient world observation, whatever it is.
Yeah.
In MCU, it's sentient weapon.
Yeah.
Yep.
What is Vision?
He was the weapon.
He's the original sentient weapon. So,
I think it'd be hilarious if they did a reverse and they were building Human Torch out of the corpse of Vision.
I think more along the lines of they're probably studying him and trying to build stuff based on him, because that is how Hayward would deal with outer space threats. Well, we're now AI and robotics and stuff now, so that's his response. Clearly, we can't rely on the Avengers because they dropped the ball last time. Yeah. So what can we do? It has to be something we can control. So that's clearly Hayward's thing, because he's the one who built this. He's the one who his scanning isn't. He couldn't care less about Wanda. He's focused entirely on Vision.
And to Sarah's point, I think we're giving these people like way more credit. It's going to be something like they want to make 100 Captain America shields or something, you guys, out of Vision's corpse. It's going to be like it's going to be way less imaginative than all of this.
Well, no, they why would they want him specifically? He is an intelligent synthetic life form, and he's already said he prefers, now we're all AI and robots and nanotech, which is why he's like the program has changed since Monica left. Mm-hmm. So, and that's the only thing Wanda is an impediment to him getting Vision. He's never cared anything about her. He's just like, she's the problem. I need to retrieve that. And that's what his computer's focused on.
Yeah, you're all focusing on Vision. He wants Ultron.
Yeah.
He wants a new Ultron.
Let's build one?
Yeah. Well, that's what Vision is.
Yeah.
Vision is Ultron's attempt to build the ultimate Ultron.
Yeah.
He wants a new Ultron. He wants the Ultron back so that he can make a sentient weapon that will defend against aliens and Avengers and
to be more reliable than people who fuck up.
General Ross wants someone who will salute and take orders and kill who he says kill.
Right. Yeah. He saw what Tony was trying to do with the automated Iron Man suits. He says, "Yeah, I want that, but like under military control." And so.
Yeah, and Wanda clearly is not one for following orders.
Nope.
No. I don't know. I still think the Fantastic Four are going to come about from sword fuckery in the way the director's going. Where, because the Fantastic Four were always like, oh God, okay, I'm gonna get in trouble with Aaron. The Fantastic Four were always like traditionally kind of like the goodies of the Marvel universe, where it's like, we're the good, upstanding taxpayers. We're here to yes, sir, Mr. President. We'll solve your problem for you.
They stole a rocket ship. How goody are they?
Well, it's by Marvel standards, like the X-Men are a child soldier program. The Avengers are like whatever the fuck they want to be at any given time. They're just a bunch of weirdos that hang out in a mansion in New York and blow shit up.
Mm-hmm.
Which, to be fair, if you had the ability to, I can see that.
Totally. And then Reed Richards is the one that can always go to, and it's like, Reed, your country needs you. And it's like, yes, sir, Mr. President.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get right on that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, so Tony,
now,
it's like, Tony,
what is the type of radiation that results in the Fantastic Four?
Cosmic.
What?
Cosmic radiation.
Cosmic
So is
radiation.
that the
Cosmic
same
radiation.
shit the hex is made out of?
No.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of. Hulk is
Hulk is gamma rays.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four is cosmic. Um,
Because Monica mentioned several things that she needed to shield against to get through
Captain
the hex.
America was made with Vita rays.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out, if they're going to try and use this same thing that Wanda's manipulating, the thing that she's made the hex out of.
Now let us inject him with plutonium.
yep,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair too.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I
But
think
they're
I think-
laying so many breadcrumbs in this that
Yeah.
they could go so many places with it. I think that's why it's one of the reasons that we're all watching it. And as Aaron puts it, this is the most macabre thing Marvel has ever made.
or
It is,
because
for sure.
it's all about like what is death and what is grief.
Yeah.
But
That's
like,
not
why the sitcom?
Oh no,
Structure.
I think that seems like very like straightforward
yeah,
to me.
tra-
Like
tra-
it's
trauma. Dealing with trauma.
Pleasantville.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's a place where everything's
escapism
perfect.
It's
You-
escapism into
I'm-
a
I'm-
comforting
So-
anodyne
so-
world.
I'm going to make
So
a place
it's
where
also
everything
entirely-
is perfect.
Yeah, it's
So
also
then if
entirely
it-
possible that Agatha just really likes sitcoms.
But if it is that, then wouldn't it make sense that the end of the season is just going to be like Wanda solving the problem, as happens in all, within herself, as happens within all sitcoms? Like
Well, sure.
by the
Well,
beginning of next
well-
season, things will be back to normal. I mean,
Okay,
isn't that...
okay, pump the brakes. This is still a Disney Marvel project. The last 2 episodes are going to be a giant action film. Let's just go
Yeah.
ahead and get that out of the way. No,
Yeah.
they're going to start. The artifice is going to fall away. There's going to be a bunch of fighting and exploding and shit, and like things
Mhm.
are going to get resolved. And
That's
Yeah,
why I
'cause
fucking
gonna
hate
be less-
Disney sometimes. If
it's going
that's
to be
what
less
happens,
clever
Yeah.
from here on out. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah.
Well,
Ugh.
Hayward is definitely going in today,
Yeah.
and we've been in the hex for each decade has been a day
Yeah.
because we've been working on the timetable in my various social media circles.
Yeah.
So Agatha is acting. It's the middle of the day there. It's the middle of the day after. It's not nighttime again.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still in that same 7th or 8th day.
Uh-huh.
So whatever's coming from the outside is going to be coming up soon, and whatever Agatha has just made her move. So we're definitely building towards a whole bunch of shits going down.
Mm-hmm.
Now the problem is that Pietro Due or whatever the hell his name, whoever the hell he really is, he's obviously they've got Monica now.
Mhm.
I will
don't-
point out the first time people are pointing it out for later, but she gets through the wall, and the first thing she does is a superhero landing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She totally does
Yeah.
that, and I'm like, right, we have a new origin story.
Well, yeah.
So
She came through and could instantly see electricity. Like, oh,
But even
yeah,
before that,
right?
we got Spectrum.
the first
what is
the first pose when she's still in the spacesuit, she comes through and she comes down on one knee
Oh,
in
yeah.
that superhero pose, and I'm like, oh come on, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
what is
come
next?
on.
As if we needed more.
Yeah.
What is the next season going to be? Is it going to be Kat Dennings and
Oh,
Wanda
no.
going on a
No,
girls'
it's a-
road trip together? Because that'd be
This is a
awesome.
This is a finite.
This is a
thing.
This is a one-off.
Yeah, they
I mean,
won't.
the next
Is it really?
Yeah.
I mean,
It has
it's-
always
Oh,
been
that's a
designed
bummer.
to be a one-off
Yeah.
because it's got to be self-contained.
God, it
Not
seems like
just
such
for
a
plot
wasted
purposes.
opportunity. If the end of this is just another
No, I
stupid
love it because
Marvel
if you
fight.
want to no, because just do something else. Like if you want to do,
Yeah.
just come up with
No,
a
I'm
new idea.
saying-
Don't box yourself in with this concept of they
Yeah.
can just make these 8-hour movies. Fuck! Did y'all see the new trailers that dropped for Winter or for Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Yeah.
No.
Fucking hell! That looks like the most expensive television show in history. It looks fucking gorgeous. It looks like an 8-hour
Yeah.
Marvel movie.
All I want out of that series is I desperately want them to do a riff on Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts was one of Marvel's most magnificent, most audacious comics series in decades. The idea was brilliant. You had Baron, what's his name? The guy with the purple mask from Civil War. Baron
fuck.
Zemo.
Yeah.
Baron Zemo had this brilliant plan. First couple of issues of Thunderbolts was, hey, there's this new superhero team with these, and they're just doing really great work. And the reality was, it was actually the Avengers' worst enemies, the Masters of Evil, who said, hey, we're going to get everybody's trust as superheroes, and then once we're allowed in, things like Fort Knox and so forth, we'll reveal ourselves as villains, and it'll be great. And what was glorious was it so beautifully backfired on Zemo, because the villains were like, hey, we're getting paid, we have health and dental,
People like us.
people love us, we have endorsement deals, we have sponsors. Fuck this villain thing, I'm a hero now.
Right, but then they
Um,
started a reality TV show, blew up a middle school, and caused civil war. Yeah. So
yeah.
way to go,
Yeah.
Thunderbolts.
I didn't say it wasn't without its flaws.
This is a good place. This is a good place to stop recording, because otherwise
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to like send ninjas to tranquilize Chris and Wendy and Aaron.
Yep.
Talking about Marvel.
I want to talk about when the MCU is going to finally introduce Namor the Submariner.
Fuck yeah.
No, Sarah.
and scene.
All right, stop it now.
There we go. That's it for Season 4, Episode 19 of the Gateway Geeks podcast, Monsterfuckers Ball. Thanks for listening, and don't forget, we are now on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. This episode was with Sarah Jane Connor, Tracy Gomillion, Chris Knetzer, Joe Kohlburn, Aaron Robb, and Wendy Robb. It was edited by me, Joe Kohlburn, and produced by me and Chris.